God's code, the mysterious numerical pattern that could change everything. Have you ever had the feeling that there is an invisible order behind everything? Something that connects everything from the galaxies to the smallest cell in your body? Now imagine if this order could be translated into numbers. And what if these numbers were, in fact, a code left by something far greater than we can comprehend? The Greek philosopher Pythagoras believed that everything is number. To him, mathematics was not just a set of cold and exact rules, but the secret language of the universe. Ancient civilizations like the Egyptians, Mayans, and Babylonians seemed to know this mystery and incorporated specific numbers into their structures, rituals, and beliefs. But why? What did they know that we have forgotten? Before we move forward, make sure you're subscribed to the channel because in the upcoming videos, we're going to explore even more mysteries that you won't want to miss. Now think about the number 3, 7, and 12. They appear repeatedly in religious texts, historical monuments, and even in events of nature. Is it coincidence? Or a hidden signature that permeates all of creation? What if this code is the key to understanding something much bigger than we imagine? To answer this question, we need to investigate where this numerical pattern shows. And our first step is to look at something that's right in front of our eyes all the time: the natural world itself. If you look closely, you'll realize that nature isn't random. There is perfect symmetry in the wings of a butterfly, a predictable pattern in the growth of trees, and even in the way planets move through space. But what few people know is that all these phenomena follow a precise mathematical code, and this code appears almost miraculously. Think about the shells of snails, typhoons, and even spiral galaxies. They all follow the same mathematical proportion, the Fibonacci sequence. This numerical pattern, discovered by an Italian mathematician in the 13th century, seems to be imprinted on everything that exists. But how is this possible? How could something discovered only in the Middle Ages have been present in nature billions of years before? Is this just a mathematical property of the universe? Or a sign that there is an intelligence behind all of this? The answer might be hidden in one of humanity's greatest works, the sacred texts. And when we look at them, we find something even more intriguing. In the 13th century, a mathematician named Leonardo Fibonacci discovered a numerical sequence that seemed to defy chance. Starting with 0 and 1, each subsequent number is the sum of the two previous ones: 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. What seemed like just a mathematical exercise soon revealed itself to be a universal code. This sequence shows up in flowers, shells, galaxies, and even in the human body. The shape of our hands, the proportions of our face, and even the way leaves grow on trees follow this hidden logic. But there's an even more impressive number within this sequence: the golden ratio, or 1.618. Renaissance masters like Da Vinci used this proportion to create their works. Egyptian architects used it in the construction of the pyramids. But what really intrigues scholars is that this same proportion appears in religious texts. Some researchers believe that the very verses of the Bible follow a golden pattern. But if this is true, would it mean that there is a hidden code within the sacred scriptures? To understand this, we need to explore the relationship between numbers and biblical texts. From the first verses of Genesis to the apocalyptic visions of John, numbers play a fundamental role in the Bible. The number 7, for example, appears countless times: 7 days of creation, 7 trumpets of the apocalypse, 7 churches in Asia. The number 40 is also recurring. Jesus fasted for 40 days. Moses wandered for 40 years in the desert, and the flood lasted 40 days and 40 nights. And hey, did you know these facts? Leave a comment if you've heard of them. Let's chat. But what if these numbers weren't just symbolic? What if there's a secret pattern encoded in the very structure of the text? Some scholars claim that certain passages follow the Fibonacci sequence, and that there are hidden mathematical patterns in the distribution of words. This raises an unsettling question. How could a text written thousands of years ago contain a mathematical structure that was only discovered recently? If this theory is correct, we are facing something extraordinary. a possible divine signature, hidden within the Bible itself. But what if this isn't exclusive to Christianity? Could other spiritual traditions also hide similar codes? To better understand, we need to look at one of the most mysterious systems ever created: Kabbalah and Gematria. If the numbers in the Bible are already intriguing, wait until you learn about the Kabbalah. This Jewish mystical system suggests that sacred words hide profound secrets, secrets that can be revealed through numbers. And that's where Gematria comes in, a method of interpretation that assigns numerical values to the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. In Gematria, different words can have the same numerical value, which, according to Kabbalists, means they share a hidden meaning. One of the most famous examples is the Hebrew word for God, which has the same numerical value as the word nature. Coincidence? Or is it a clue that creation itself is a reflection of the divine? Now, if you think this is just a number game, know that this technique has already revealed unbelievable connections between biblical passages that, at first glance, seemed unrelated. But what if this code wasn't just in the texts, but hidden within the very language of the Bible itself? To understand this, we need to look at one of the most fascinating mysteries ever uncovered: the so-called Torah code. Imagine if there were a secret message within the Bible, a hidden code that we are only beginning to decipher. Well, some researchers believe that this code really exists, and it's hidden in the original Torah text, the first 5 books of the Bible. The discovery came when scholars applied mathematical calculations to analyze the letters of the sacred text. What they found was shocking. Entire words and phrases seemed to predict historical events centuries in advance. The Holocaust, the assassination of world leaders, and even the moon landing were allegedly encoded in the original Torah text. But how is this possible? If the code really exists, it would mean that the text was written by someone or something that already knew the future. This would completely change our view of the Bible's origin, and perhaps even our understanding of time itself. But before we reach that conclusion, there's another mystery that needs investigation. What happens when we look at numbers not just as written symbols, but as frequencies? What's hidden in the sounds that make up the universe? The universe isn't just made of matter and energy. It also vibrates. And believe it or not, some frequencies seem to have a nearly mystical effect on us. One of them is the frequency of 432 Hz, which many believe to be the fundamental frequency of the cosmos itself. Since ancient times, musicians and scholars have suggested that this frequency has unique properties. They say it resonates in harmony with nature, balances emotions, and even improves human health. It's no coincidence that ancient instruments, from Egyptian flutes to Tibetan singing bowls, were tuned to this frequency. But something curious happened in the 20th century. The standard musical tuning was changed to 440 Hz, a frequency that, according to some theories, has negative effects on the mind and body. Was it just a technical change, or an attempt to disconnect us from the original sonic code of the universe? Let's continue. But before that, I noticed you haven't liked the video yet. If you're enjoying the content, go ahead and hit the like button. If this is true, we might be facing a lost knowledge, a vibrational code capable of influencing our very existence. And if music can hide such profound secrets, imagine what happens when we turn our attention to a recurring number in human history: the enigmatic number 7. The number 7 has always held a special status. 7 colors in the rainbow, 7 musical notes, 7 days of the week, and of course 7 days of creation in Genesis. But why does this number repeat so much? In science, it also appears in curious ways. The neutral pH of water is 7. There are 7 layers in human skin. Our short-term memory can only store an average of 7 pieces of information at a time. Even the structure of DNA seems to follow patterns involving this number. But what does this mean? Some believe that 7 is a divine number, a hidden signature in the universe. Others say it represents a cycle of perfection, a code embedded in reality from the beginning of time. But if there is a universal code that transcends religions, sciences, and cultures, does it also appear in other spiritual traditions? The answer may lie in the sacred numbers of other religions, and what we find could completely change our perception of mathematics and faith. If the Bible and the Judeo-Christian tradition hide numerical patterns, what about other religions? What do we discover when we look at sacred texts from different cultures? In Hinduism, for example, the number 108 is deeply significant. This number appears in Vedic texts, in the architecture of ancient temples, and even in meditation practice. Hindu prayer beads have exactly 108 beads. Coincidence, or a connection to a universal code? In Islam, the number 19 is surrounded by mystery. Researchers have found a hidden numerical pattern in the Quran, where important words and phrases appear in multiples of 19. For many, this is mathematical proof that the text was divinely inspired. And the Mayans? This advanced civilization based their sacred calendar on the number 260, a cycle that curiously aligns with human biological rhythms and even with the movement of Venus. When we look at all these traditions together, we realize that numbers are not just abstract symbols. They seem to carry a hidden meaning, a cosmic signature present in different cultures throughout history. But if there is a code embedded in reality, what happens when we try to use it? To predict the future? Some of the greatest minds in history believed that numbers not only describe the universe, but can reveal what is to come. If numbers are the language of the universe, can we use them to decipher what is to come? Since ancient times, mathematicians and mystics have tried to find numerical patterns that anticipate future events. One of the most intriguing examples is the so-called Fibonacci Sequence, a mathematical progression that appears in nature, from the arrangement of flower petals to the formation of galaxies. Some believe that this sequence can also be used to predict fluctuations in the financial market, social changes, and even historical events. But there is another system that has been intriguing scholars for centuries: the theory of cycles. According to this idea, human history follows repetitive patterns, as if we are trapped in an invisible mathematical script. Russian researcher Anatoly Fomenko, for example, believes that history has been reorganized and that certain events repeat in precise numerical cycles. If this is true, then the future may not be as uncertain as we think. But there is an even bolder application of this theory. What if numbers not only describe patterns of the past and present, but also can directly influence reality? To understand this, we need to explore one of the most enigmatic concepts ever discovered: the relationship between mathematics and human consciousness. What if the very act of thinking was governed by numbers? Recent research in neuroscience shows that the brain functions in a highly mathematical way. From how we process information to the electrical rhythms of our brain waves, everything seems to follow numerical patterns. But this raises a fascinating question. Are numbers just a reflection of our mind, or is our mind a reflection of numbers? Studies in quantum mechanics suggest that consciousness may play a fundamental role in creating reality. The famous double-slit experiment showed that subatomic particles behave differently when they are being observed. This means that consciousness influences the physical world, and if this is true, then the mathematics that governs the universe may be intrinsically connected to our own perception of reality. But there is one last mystery that needs to be explored. If everything that exists can be described by numbers, is there a final number? A mathematical code that unites all things? Some believe so, and it has a name: the constant of God. Throughout history, mathematicians have searched for a number that could represent the essence of everything, something that explains the structure of the universe and existence itself. Some believe this number has already been discovered. Physicist Max Tegmark, for example, suggests that the universe is mathematics, that everything that exists can be described by equations. Others point to the most mysterious mathematical constant of all, phi f, the golden ratio. It appears in nature, art, the human body, and even in the structure of DNA. But what if there is an even deeper number? Some researchers suggest that there is a constant that governs all others, a primordial code that would be the mathematical signature of God. A number that, if discovered, could unlock the secrets of creation. If this is true, then numbers are not just a tool. They are the very essence of reality. And by deciphering them, we are unraveling the very code of existence. But the question remains, if there is a mathematical code that governs everything, who or what wrote this code? This is something we may never know. Or perhaps the answer has always been right before our eyes, waiting to be understood. Thank you for watching this far. Don't forget to subscribe to keep receiving more amazing content like this.